Today on Dom Pod, I'm super excited about this episode because I've got the real intersect of my 2 worlds, 3 worlds. It could be 5. I don't know at this point. There's a lot of worlds coming together. Joining me on the couch today, Matty, Lloyd, Frank Musco, my race tech, legend in the scene in historic racing. Thank you both so much for joining me today. How are you both?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I'm brilliant, Dom. Thank you again for having me.
Always brilliant. So today's episode is very interesting to me, and I'm sure it'll be interesting to the audiences as well. You may be thinking, where's this one going to go? Well, the idea in my mind is Mossy Lloyd, Tour de France cyclist 3 times, Giro d'Italia, mountains classification winner, ex-Olympian, bringing Mossy's experience, skills and talent into my world of historic racing with my amazing race tech Frank to share and impart some advice. And for Frank to also shed light onto what historic racing is like from his point of view and knowing what goes into making a driver become a good driver and just having a general chat about performance.
I'm really excited, Dom. I think there's significant similarities between each of the sports, among many sports, of course, but specifically for motor racing and cycling, there's many parallels, and I think it's exciting to explore.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, actually. Yeah, there are many parallels. Yeah, so we can pick off each other, and, we would be using similar techniques, to visualise what we're going to do during the race, and how we prepare, and how we learn from others.
So Frank, talk us through, I was just trying to figure out when we actually met. Do you remember that time or what?
Yeah, way back in 2011, I believe it was, at Winton. Yeah, so and unfortunately, it would have been my last sprint event and one of your first. So yeah, it was a great time back then. Yeah. So done a lot of sprinting up until that point. I never actually got to race, so I've never gridded up and qualified and gone through that. But I did a lot of sprinting.
I was going to say, for the benefit of the audience, Frank's got a degree in mechanical engineering, knows his way around a car.
Yes.
Very, very good at rebuilding cars, restoring cars. I mean, your career with the cars, do you want to?
Oh, well, so basically it started because my father was a mechanic. Okay, so as a little kid, I would go down to the workshop every weekend. And so literally from 8 years old, I was doing engine work. So I could do a head gasket job on a car. With Dad just guiding me through it. So by 12, I was rebuilding things. So, and then shortly after that, I was building cars myself, and push bikes. Right? I love hanging around with all my push bike mates with the BMXs. Right? So we used to do that as well. And use that frame with those set of rims and, put it all together with those gears. And we used to have a lot of fun doing that. And it's the same with cars. We do exactly the same with cars. And so then I finished school, and then I sort of thought, I wanted to go further because I had the mechanical ability and I wanted to know how to actually do things properly, all right? Because one thing that I always learned from my father while I was a young teenager modifying things, trying to for the first time, my dad would come up and sort of tap me on the shoulder and say, do you know what you're doing, Frank? and I'm trying to make it a little bit better. And he explained to me that a team of engineers has designed that thing that you're trying to hit with a hammer and file it, and you think you're going to make it better. Maybe you should think about that a bit more, Frank. Because you're not an engineer, are you? So I was like, oh, okay. So I thought about that, and I thought, yeah. And later on, I actually realised that if I built an engine exactly like the factory built it, it would be great. It would be, run really, really well. And, the little modifications that I made were actually making the thing slower, worse. So that was quite interesting to learn that from my father. And then I went to university and did the degree in mechanical engineering. And then, of course, you learn there why, okay? So you know why something's a certain diameter and it relates to the airflow, and why a valve is a certain size, why a piston's a certain size, why you have a carburetor of that size on it. So you tend to put all this together in university and put real numbers to it, and then you see, oh, okay, well, that's why it works. So that's great. That's cool. And then further on, I didn't actually think I'd ever get to a racetrack.
Really?
Yeah.
It wasn't on the cards for you?
Yeah, no, I sort of thought it was a bit out of my range.
Do you mean as a driver or as a tech?
No, because I never knew what to do. I just didn't know. It was simple. It's quite simple. If you know what he tells you, you sort of don't know. And so a strange thing happened with that. I built a car, and then when it was getting registered, so I was at uni, my father was registering the car, he got into an accident. And so to fix the car, I then went to the Fiat Car Club, because it was a little Fiat X19. And so I thought, I'll go there and I'll meet someone who's interested in those cars, and I'll get some spare parts for it, and I might learn something and meet some people. All right, so I'll go to the Fiat Car Club. So I go to the Fiat Car Club, and I said what happened, and one of my this person said, yeah, I can help you. So after the meeting, I met up with him, and he gave me his address, and I went to his house. Right, and there's an X19 race car, and I was like, "Oh, hang on a second, what's going on here?" So
that's such a Frank line too.
And I was like, why have you got that? And he explains to me, I go racing, and I'm like, yeah. How do you do that? And he said, well, you get a, your CAMS license, which was, $70 or whatever back then. You pay the entry fee again, which was $70 back then.
God, don't.
Yeah. That's how long ago. So that was in 1999.
Great
right?
year. I was in grade 9.
I went to the next Fiat Car Club meeting to work all this out, who's going, and blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm saying, I'm going to go to the next meeting, and all the people there were like, oh, really? And I was a bit sort of taken back a bit initially. I thought, I wonder it's a bit strange. Something's not quite right. And they just didn't believe me that I was going to go.
As a racer?
Yeah, to sort of, I said, I'm going to go to the next meeting,
Okay.
And they're like, oh, yeah, sure you are. Sure. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and so I did.
Okay.
And I sort of rocked up with my old Monaro.
Sick.
Yes,
we've talked about the Monaro.
Yeah. So I built this car up, not thinking about racing, just thinking I want to build a mean car, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Something completely stupid, and just to get it out of my system, right? Because I had to do it, and I built a car for my brother, a Tirana, a hot Tirana, and I didn't do one for myself, and I thought, I've got to build something, and so I found this Monaro, which was a derelict car left on the side of the road, and they, back then they used to go to the pound and lock them all up, and then have auction them all off. So I went there and bought this car from the tip.
Yeah, I love it,
and just restored it up into this great, awesome street machine. And then when I went to the Fiat Car Club, found out about this racing, and I thought, I've got this Monaro. and that's why. And I said, I'll show up, next meeting. And of course, everyone's like, well, yeah, sure you are. But they didn't know that I had this car that I built. And so I showed up there and they were like, oh, yeah, this guy's for real. Yeah, and I was like, let's go.
So you did it.
And so I did it.
And that was the start of it.
And it was awesome.
I
and
love
I was
that,
like,
Frank.
oh, yeah. And then that's it. Once I did that, it was all over.
And then it was Alpha Club.
It's like, people talk about drugs. Yeah, well, no, racing
it is an
drug.
addiction.
It was just instantly addicted.
I love that.
And, I had to go to the next race meeting.
Yep.
And that was that.
So great. And since then, it's been 10 years at least since I've known you more. Actually, it's more because 10 years ago would be 2015. I've known you more like 14, 15 years.
That's right. Yeah.
And so
Something like that.
What I love about you race teching for me is I know that you know the cars inside and out and you've got that mechanical knowledge like down pat. So I have full faith. Whenever you prep my race car, I'm like, it's done. It's done. Like it's done. And as a driver, I need to have that confidence in the car. I didn't have you on board for a while. I was doing it alone with Dad, and we had the car being prepped at the workshop, and I was doing a lot of it myself in the early stages too. And I learnt pretty quick how good some of my skills are not. Anyway, so it is great to have a race tech on board. You really do need that extra element of help when you're out there. So for me as a driver, if I know, and you know me, I've got OCD. So I've got the checklists. I'm very task orientated. I check everything like to the nth degree. I write everything down. I like to have all of that done. So anyone coming onto a team to work with me knows Dom is scheduled, disciplined, detail oriented, like wants it all. Like that's the confidence that I need to have. You'd understand this, Mossy. You get to a point where you're like about to go out, do your thing, right? I have to know by the sheer fact of doing it and checking it that I've done the very best that I can do. So when I go out there and something goes wrong, whether it's in my control or out of my control and shit goes wrong, at least I've covered all my bases. Like that level of preparedness is something that I know Frank is really, you're okay with. Some people I can't work with because they don't like it.
Oh, that's a bit odd. Like what she's saying, I would imagine you would do that too.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to the basics of it, listening to your story, Frank, and knowing yours too, Dom, is like the recognition of what needs to be done or what you're doing, the understanding of how to do it. Your old man was, asking you what it is to be doing the things that you're doing. Paul on your side of things probably wants the information about how you're doing that. Why?
No, he just dropped me in the deep end.
Oh,
and let me learn the hard way. Love him for it.
Just good.
And then
seriously.
And then you get your sort of labeling or what characteristics you're doing the things for, and allocating the space for it. Why you're making the adjustments to the engine in a particular way. Why you're doing these things pre-race in order to get the most out of it. And then, you've got the exhibit, how the performance goes, how it feels, what it means to you, what it means to other people. And then you're able to regulate from that. And then, makes you want to rock up the next week and then the next week, and makes you want to, keep performing or returning to racing. Those sorts of things come together.
And it's something that you've experienced in your career is working with mechanics, bike mechanics. You mentioned in the cafe that they work like 20 hours a day. Can you shed some light on what it's been like for you working with mechanics, having to hand over a lot of trust and faith and confidence that they've got it sorted? Because that bike that you're on, going the speeds that you go at, wearing very little in the conditions I've seen you ride in, with all the variables out there, like the loose spectators. Like, can you tell us about what it's been like for you, the relationship with mechanics, bike mechanics?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I think hands down the mechanics that I've worked with across my career are unquestionably the hardest working people I've come across. And you can tell that because the moment you step onto your bike, you don't have to think about what's taken place with it.
That's great.
The functionality is at 101%. Anything that does happen to the bike is just by chance, and often enough comes across through the environment that you're in, whether that be bad weather, shit on the road, whatever. But that's fixed in an instant. I've never seen a group of people work tirelessly, not just in 3-week races, but through the entirety of the 1st of January up until probably 21st of December. Give them a couple of days off. But yeah, just remorseless. And so much attention to detail. Given the fact that similarly with cars, you know, the technology is changing so frequently. And to know the specs, to know all the updates and just have it at your fingertips is remarkable. I think it's something to be astounded by.
Interesting point that you've touched on, then, technology of cars. With us as historic car racers, we follow the spec sheet by the book because we go through scrutineering. So
the rules.
Everything has to be as per instructed, and that's a stress in itself, because if the scrutineers find something that's wrong and you don't have all the tools or the gear to fix it in the moment, like, that's race game over. So you've got to be by the rule book. That's one thing that Frank and I have grown together learning as well, is because I don't have a degree in mechanical engineering. I've got the passion. I've got the drive and the ambition. I've got the competitiveness. So it's been a huge learning journey for me to bring my mechanical knowledge up as well, which has helped working as a restoration professional for 20 years as well. But that's something where, and Frank can speak to this too, a lot of people that hop into historic motorsport, some of them just want to be a racer, and they're learning lifetime about the mechanics of cars as well. So Frank, often something that we have to work on together is me having the language and the communication to tell you what I'm feeling out there and what's happening with the car, and you being able to rapidly respond to that in a live, high-pressure environment. It's a super cool, interesting dynamic.
It is.
What's
Great.
your experience of that over these years?
Well, we'll go back to the list that you keep, all those lists. It starts from that, okay? So I do the same thing. So I have to have a list, okay, because that's telling me what the car, where it's at, okay? And that list is, ongoing. So that is always developed, right? And that's why you need the list. If you don't have a list, you don't develop anything. You're stagnant, because you might try to remember, but you don't really remember, because there's so many things happening in a race meeting. Okay, so that's why you have to have a list, right? And so then, the list then tells me what the car's doing. Okay, so then of course you tell me what you're feeling on the track. Okay, and then I look at my list and I'll look at my tire temperature across the tire and what the pressure is. And if I sort of see that maybe the outside of the tire, or, like a front left, will be a bit too hot on the outside edge, I might know that you're trying to turn the car a bit too much. Okay, and then it starts to make me think about, should that tire be at a different angle, at a different pressure? And so that's where all that information on a list becomes very valuable, so that we can then work out what makes you comfortable in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a point in which, like, say that, for example, was taking place and the left front was cooking? Could you turn to Dom and say, Dom, you're cooking the
Yeah,
right
and that's
way?
right, and exactly right. So, you know, it's actually, I see it as my job to do that,
Yep.
right? So if I see, you know, like exactly what you said, you know, I will see the edge of the tyre will be the wrong colour, right? Because she might have been turning the steering wheel way too much, so the car's understeering into a corner. You know, I might say, well, let's just back it off a bit, Dom. You know, because slow in equals fast out. Because you go, you know, for example. So yes, that's, you know, we work on
And I
things like
love that about Frank, and that's why Frank and I work really well together. It's because I'm a direct person. You guys know this.
Which you have to be. That's
People think it's
racing.
blunt and abrupt, but I'm just direct. I just want the information quickly. I've got to remember to deliver it softly at times. But the people that I let around me in the garage know that that's how I operate. And ultimately it's for everyone's good. Let's not beat around the bush here. There's times I've come off the racetrack, I'm like, fucking hot, like it's 50 degrees in there. I'm tired. It's hectic. We've had a goose go out on the racetrack or someone speared off. I've shat my race suit because I've had 10 espressos. Or one time I went so hard on trying to get the diet right, I made these little green spirulina balls and I think gave everyone gastro, and we're all just shitting green at the racetrack like, Dom, don't bring in the fucking herbs.
Oh, no.
So all this shit goes wrong, all the variables, and you come in off a racetrack and Frank's excellent. And I'm open to this with people who I trust, not some random spectator giving me advice like, fuck off, mate. You know, you don't even, you came on your scooter, you don't even have a driver's license. Fuck off, bro. I'm all for it. Like, I'll just rip off my helmet and I just want Frank to tell me. And Frank's excellent. He goes, Dom, that was fucking great. That was fast and I love it. He gets into my head. And then he also knows to say, mate, you are absolutely cooking it over on that corner, or you're really fast there, but you're hitting the brakes way too early down there. So you just got to dive deeper. And I respond to this. I don't want, something that we could maybe work on over time. No, mate, I don't have time. Time's fucking ticking. We've got to go racing again in an hour. Like I want to know how to be better now.
Yeah.
So I've got to temper my own enthusiasm.
Yeah, you want that direct information because that is the performance. And that's really, I think it speaks volumes to the rapport that you guys have, which often enough probably gets tested in a lot of environments. You see it throughout racing scene. Yeah. As a peripheral viewer myself, drivers cracking the shit at their team staff because they've made an indecision about, tyre pressure or whether we go out on softs or hards, whatever. And that's just communication. So, hearing about your rapport is, it's huge.
For you guys, riders at your level, can you shed some insight into what the comms were like for you and what kind of communication you've noticed works best in those high pressure environments? Because you're out there cycling, you've got to just get a memo, right? You've just got to get the information. You don't want it parceled up, I'm assuming, in all the fluff, correct?
Yeah, I suppose it's definitely erring on the side of simplicity because a lot of it is a numbers game. You want to make sure that in the breakaway of the day, which has the most television publicity and proactive riders in it, normally takes 50 to 60 Ks to formulate some stability, and you want some representation in that breakaway. So there'll be an urgency from the start until the break formulates as to who's going to be proactive in asserting themselves into the race. Because once you have a rider in the race who's in front of the peloton, in the breakaway, it means that there's no responsibility from the team to chase a breakaway because you'd be chasing your own teammate, if that makes sense. Then once you establish that, the communications are relayed through to each rider. And if you have a protected rider, say, for example, someone leading the race or in a key jersey in your team, your job is then to feed them, to make sure that their wind is broken in front of them, things of that nature. So it's really simplistic. And
The comms
yeah, so
are simple.
the chess of the match is dictated only by the characteristics of the breakaway itself. Who's that far in front time-wise, who's potentially dangerous when it comes to sprint points or mountain points. So all those dynamics play and have a sort of side project within the greater race itself. All that information is provided basically in a simplistic way. So-and-so's there. We need to act on this now.
Can I ask you, when you finish a race and you're all hanging out in the bus or back in the motel, what communication do you best respond to? And at those levels, how is it delivered? Do you get like the pop psychology people that are like, you know, positive affirmations and you nailed it, you killed it? Or is it much more realistic where they're delivering you, mate, you really need to pick up here, there? Like, what in your experience works? What helps to get the best out of an athlete when you're off the bike? So, for example, Frank and I are in the pits. It's very loud, but I need good feedback quickly. Yeah, that question didn't really fucking land. Sorry.
No, definitely I understand what it's vibes about, because I think it's independent for each person how they resonate with different feedback. Obviously, when you are performing at different levels, you know, you don't want a team director or a mechanic to come up with a bunch of cotton candy and say everything's going to be sweet on the other side because you feel strong about your emotions and your feelings related to the machinery. It's just glistening. No, you don't want to hear that bullshit. You want to hear factual information, solid encouragement, and performance data, because that's where you're getting the most out of yourself.
For example, could you what would you like? So say I'm a rider. What would you say to me? And I've done okay, but there's areas for improvement. How would you deliver it?
Oh, you're fucking thrashing it out there. Harden up, though. Harden up. It's going to come at the end. You got 2 climbs, 30K to go. You're good on that. It's your day.
I just got goosebumps like it's really happening.
It's your day.
So, yeah.
Because you're good today. You're good, right? I've seen it. You're good. Hit it up.
But at the same time, it's like managing that ego.
Yeah. You got to holster that shit. You can't say, oh, you're the greatest ever. You know, hands down, you floor this today. Because me personally, I was not into that false set of security.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that too.
You see through that bullshit.
I really am allergic to people just saying, you got this, you're crushing it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, doesn't really work on me. I come from a generation of being thrashed verbally, not good enough, keep doing better. So, and here I am like budding psychologist and counsellor. Yes, I do like to see the positive in people and I like to offer that positive encouragement. But when I'm in it, when I'm racing, if someone's just throwing positivity at me, it doesn't fucking stick at all. I'm just like, thank you. That's really nice of you. If it's a friend or someone, it's lovely. I get it. I'm like, thank you.
That's a different story,
Inside, I'm like, nah, I need to know where to improve. I know I'm not the best. I need someone to just have the balls to tell me where it is I'm lacking and just tell me.
Yeah.
So some people are too scared to just...
I think like that too. So that's maybe why we work together well.
Yeah.
Because I have that thought process of, I'm always trying to improve. So I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking what the car's doing. And I think about what do I find with the car that I can help you with without you even thinking that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I see whatever I see, I just sort of try to put it together, you know?
I love
and
this.
then
Sort
try
of, it translates into the performance going faster and the mindset being more relaxed in that environment to do so.
Yeah, that's right. See, that as well, because I want her to be relaxed. I want her, and I was wrapped what you said earlier, that, you know, you have confidence in me. I want her to have confidence in the car, in that what I'm doing is 100% right, and that you're not thinking about the car. You don't have to think about the car. You know the car's good.
Yeah, and it does work.
That's very important for me, that you don't think about the car.
Yeah.
And that's why it does work well with us, Frank.
Yeah, and
Guys,
right,
I'm going to
offer
you some little sensory toys. Pick a colour.
Oh,
It's just to play with. It stimulates a bit of thinking, a little bit of fun.
Yeah. No, I saw you mention that on a post somewhere.
Oh, pink. I'm actually going to go the fluoro worm. I'm really into sensory toys when I'm thinking about ideas and when I'm studying and things like that.
This is almost a fuchsia.
Probably why I smoke. Yeah, see, they used to smoke in the day. Back in the day, I've seen photos of the riders like saying, "Oh, we want to open the lungs up," and they're
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to bring up with us, you guys know I love to read a book.
Yep.
I'm in my best academic era. And I love performance psychology books. I'm obsessed with it, right? Mossy and I can chew the fat about this for ages. This is only probably 1/8 of the collection that I've brought in, right?
Oh, great.
We've got I'm revisiting I'm revisiting Psycho-Cybernetics. It's like an old school performance book. This is really exciting. I'm a big fan of Brad Stulberg. So this one is Peak Performance, Elevate Your Game, Avoid Burnout and Thrive with New Science of Success, with Steve Magnus, who did Do Hard Things. So I'm reading those two again. They're awesome. I've got loads of motor racing books, but two of my favorites that I wanted to bring to this discussion. One is the Bible. Frankie knows about it. Piero Taruffi.
Yeah, great.
It's so good. I'm gonna hand it over to you guys. This was published 1958, I believe. So my maths is that's 67 years ago, right? What I find super fascinating about this book, and a lot of motorsport books, is they go so hard into the racecraft side of it and kind of completely just brush over the driver side, the athlete side. Now, what we know about Formula One now is they're considered proper athletes, right? We've seen how they train, Netflix series, like it's insane. Like they are athletes now, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, 1958, necessary qualities. 1, great enthusiasm. 2, a sizable helping of courage and mastery over his nerves. 3, the right mental and physical makeup. 4, physical fitness and lots of stamina. 5, a good bank balance, motorsport.
A good bank balance, yeah.
Turn over 2 pages and there's just a tiny spread called Physical Training and Clothing. Mossy. Here we go. These stick men are for you. So
Well,
now 1958. So then we go to 1998. This is a very well-known one called Speed Secrets by Ross Bentley.
Yeah, they're one of my favourites as well, actually.
Again,
those books.
Brilliant book, but at the back there's only 4 little pages as driver, as athlete. This is 1998.
Yeah, so that's right.
Again, brushes over it. Welcome to have a little look at that. Today, I would just love to mine Mossy's mind and mine Frank's mind and bring those worlds together of how a motorsport athlete at grassroots level. I'm not professional and my audience probably won't be professional. There'll be some. But it matters what we do as a hobby. We want the best out of it.
That's right. We want to have the most fun.
There's big gaps in the literature. I'm writing a motorsport performance book myself to hopefully add to it because there needs to be more focus with it being, on the demands of historic racing. I'm chatting to Mossy about contributing to the book from his point of view as well. What do you think when you look at this, knowing the demands that drivers face, and just where do we go from here?
Well, you have to look at, as you mentioned before, the historical aspect of things, because within all sports, I'm sure they agree, Frank, there wasn't an awareness around the totality of the requirements of the body or the capabilities of the body.
Yeah.
So, I mean, simplistically, you've got push-ups, pull-ups, squats here, front bend, if you
Little
can call that
stick
anything.
man.
Some kind of Tai Chi, and some neck adjustments. Knowingly, through my experience, which is not that significant in the motorsport world, you've got a lot of kinesthetic adaptations that need to take place. Primarily in Formula One, that's due to gravitational pull on the body because the resistance is, up to 9G, which is off the planet. But in order to physically produce the specimen to fit the requirements, needs that adaptation. So it's no surprise to me that those guys and girls in the top racing have to diligently stick by programs which are designed to place them in the safest position and the most effective positions. Looking back at this in retrospect, there's some minor adjustments that might need to take place.
But it's so cute.
Yeah. I mean, they are really covering all bases here. You could place yourself in all of these positions to get, I'd say, 80% of what you'd need on a basic performance level. But I'm sure that these are not mutually exclusive. They'd have to have a wider range. Who knows? Back in the day, you might have been throwing some different shapes on the racetrack, different types of training, swimming, whatever.
They were drinking booze.
Yeah.
Milla Miglia, Targa Florio, their pit stops, they were smoking and drinking. You couldn't get clean water in a lot of these times. Yeah, think about 30s, 40s. You're just driving through like all these little towns and you don't know who's going to be there to watch and stop. So drinking booze was, at least you knew you weren't going to get parasites in the water because it was fermented and safer.
Quality control.
So, and also looking back on TDF photos, they were all pretty loose too.
Yeah, I think sports across the board was hands down hectic. Up until recently, people thrashing themselves, all under the guise of getting the best out of oneself. Often enough, probably wasn't done in the best possible ways. But it's interesting just to look at the dynamics of change, even recently, in the cycling world. People's off season has changed into a world in which there's more of a focus on strength, not so much in the gym, but plyometric strength, different ways in which to achieve, core stability, enabling the body to maintain itself throughout the season.
Like more science has come into it. So it's more specific now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's similarly, as you see, with the driving people, you know, they're implementing different ways to enhance, you know, spinal rigidity and adaptability to the changes in the racetrack. It means not having to, you know, be on the track continually throughout the year to achieve the same core strength. There's things that you can put in place through training programs.
That's right. That's very interesting.
It is very interesting. And I suppose there's so many different elements to it depending on the discipline of motorsport as well. So a rally driver is going to have different demands than a circuit racer compared to a historic car racer versus a Formula One driver. Why I think I love that book and still refer to it is because there's so much there that's so relevant to historic motorsport, because I'm a historic motorsport driver. But the difference is now we're going faster. I think, wouldn't you agree, Frank? So there's like a different,
we're always improving, always going ahead, always going forward. So, you know, the technology, as the technology, you know, gets smarter, gets better, it just filters down to everything, to bike racing. You know, you see all the beautiful carbon fiber, you know, bikes, the frames, the aero design of them. So there's always constant working on it. And it's the same with car racing. You know, you know, nothing much has really changed. Like this, we're still going along the same techniques, if you like, but they're just more refined.
Yeah.
More sort of focused at certain areas, because we're learning that, you know, doing, I don't know, exercises for the neck helps because we can turn faster.
Yeah.
Simple.
If you want to win, if you want to make racing your profession, then you must be in very good condition. I think he says in here basically the difference is, Speed Secret 33, given equal cars and equal talent, the driver who is in the best physical condition is going to win.
I agree.
And people forget that.
It's sort of basic stuff, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but you'd be amazed how many people are not.
With racing, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. Like just on that, I noticed that a lot of people, they think, oh, I'm driving a car, I don't have to go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
I see that people don't get it. There's a lot of people, you know, they just think that they can drive around in their car every day, their normal car, and everything's fine because I know how to drive a car.
Yeah.
You know, I drive a car every day, so of course I'm going to be able to drive a historic car. Well, no, that's completely incorrect. You need to be able to put up with all the G-forces, okay? And like you said, you know, there's these huge G-forces, so you have to be strong in the car. You have to actually be really strong, and you have to constantly be working at your fitness.
Yeah.
People don't realise when I go out in my little 105, they just think, oh, it's so cute what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's so cute. It's like, it's 80 kilos each corner.
Yeah.
I've got no power steering. I've got no assisted brakes.
No power steering.
I've got nothing to make the car cooler or safer. And so I suppose it's just that added thing of letting other people who want to get into historic racing know, well, while you're busy prepping the car, while you're busy spending all that dough on the car, make sure you're prepping you.
Right.
Because you're going to get the shock of a lifetime.
Yes.
When you get out there, you're going to come out and you're going to be like, far out. I was not prepared that it would be this hard. That's the first thing people say when I let them sit in my race car. Just go, jump in. When I'm in the pits, they're like, oh my God, I can't even turn the wheel and the pedals are like rocks. They're like, yeah man, it is not a car. It's like a different beast. It is incredibly heavy. Yeah. And some people watching this that tune 105s might say, well, it shouldn't be that heavy. Well, there's a lot that goes into it to try and get like wheel alignment. There's so many different factors into it. But
I've always struggled with trying to put an equation or think about how you get a fast lap. So I put it as 50% is the car, 50% is the driver. Okay, and I see the big problem is that a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go race it now, and they only think about the car. Oh, what do I have to do to the car? Okay, right, spend heaps of money, right. But they don't go and say, what do I have to do to myself? Okay, and that's a big problem, right? Because you spend $100,000 on a car, but then you won't even go and do a driver training day. So people don't quite get it. And I see it all the time. And it's interesting that when I see the people who do the best, right, I obviously notice that they are the people that are constantly working on themselves. They are always asking questions of themselves. How do I better myself? What am I doing wrong? Or what can I do better in the car? Even though I get this lap time and I'm happy with it, look, I'm the type of person that I'm never happy with this lap time. And I'm thinking you must be the same type of person. You are as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes us fast.
Yeah.
If we're happy with something, we just become complacent. We're like, oh yeah, and we just cruise along, right? But if you're always asking questions of yourself, you'd be like, oh, okay, I must go to that driver training day. I must do 6 in a year, for example, so I can keep myself up and always on the ball.
Because if you're not, you're either one selling yourself short, or you get the feeling that you are, or you're becoming lackadaisical. And it's like, where are the margins? It's like if I rock up to a race, I've got the best bike, but I've missed half my training just because I got the best bike. That doesn't mean shit.
So on this note too, something in motorsport is the ego and the macho aspect of it. And I've witnessed it where people are so tunnel vision. They might be like a CEO or a boss or something. They come into historic motorsport and they're just not open to hearing any feedback from anyone. They can't handle it, right? They already think they're the best. I see it time and time again. Do you remember, Frank, when I did that race? It was a sprint day, Alpha sprint day, maybe, 6 years ago. And I was just minding my own business, standing watching the sprint out in front of me. And a fellow competitor comes bowling over to me, gets in my face. He's like, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to prove to you that I'm so much faster than you. You better watch out. I'm going to, it was really, and I was like, whoa, bro, this is just time trials for fun. He goes, now I watch your times, but I can do better. And I'm thinking, this guy doesn't even historic race. I'm just here to test and tune my car. He's up in my face. So what happens? We go out. He spears off in the first lap and writes his car off. I think it flipped. It crashed into a wall. It was bad. So that's the level, and you can spot them. Frank and I were speaking about this earlier. If you go to one of the driver briefings, what do you look out for? What kind of attitude's a red flag for you, Frank?
Well, I know if someone's asking, do we get trophies by the end of the day? we already know where they're going to end up. And it is interesting where you see the guys with the brand new race suit and the nice shoes and the gloves and the hair's perfect and I can almost make a bet as to how long they're going to last. Will they get to the end of the day?
Questionable.
It's a fine line between having an ego, which you need to have to be the best,
true,
and being humble enough to be open to learning. And how do you find that balance?
I think for what I've seen, there's an exuberance about ego, which can either be delivered externally or held internally. So the driver for me can be held within, which often enough brings about really good things. I don't have to display that to anyone. I'll still feel good about myself.
That's good. I'm like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an intrinsic thing. And for other people, they like to exhibit it differently. Props to them. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But I think it really goes to show people who've overstepped the mark and displayed things in a misdirected way. It draws the eye and attention because often enough they haven't been able to achieve the things they told everyone else that they were going to.
I see on that. I like to just sort of say things like, I'll let my lap time do the talking. Okay? I'm like that. So basically, I like to have fun in the pits with everybody and have a good time.
Yeah.
because I know that when I'm in the car, I'm a different person. You know, I know it's business time in the car, and that's when I'm serious.
Yeah.
But outside the car, I want to have a good time. You know,
It
because
can be
we're all
pretty
there to have a
rough
good time. You know,
at times. I remember when I was
Real.
doing fast lap times,
Yeah.
I had a lot of men walk past my garage and say, "Oh, she's cheating," or
Oh,
"Father's
and see,
dropped in a hotter engine in there."
Yeah.
Or it really when I joined the scene, there was a small handful that really made my life so hard by just spreading rumors that I was cheating, or it was really horrible. It didn't come from a mindset of curiosity. It came from a sense of being threatened. Instead of people coming up going, "Hey, you're really fast out there. Like, what did you do go-karting before this?" "No, I didn't." "Do you work on your car? Do you actually know what's in there?" "Yeah, I do."
Yeah,
So
well,
they
I
just
got
can't
lucky.
understand it. And that probably is why I can be very staunch on the racetrack, because I see someone approaching me who I don't know. It's like a fucking box of bad chocolates. I don't know what chocolate I'm going to get. Is it going to be someone saying, like accusing me of cheating, accusing me of all sorts of shit? I've had it all. So in terms of mindset, I've got to really lean on to just taking a breath and relaxing, and because I'm getting back into it. And so Frank and I are hitting the workshop and prepping the car again. But yeah, I mean, I'm super nervous and super guarded about my space still because of what has happened to me.
Well, you're still going to cop it
I know.
either way.
And it's still happening to women in the sport. Then we know those women. They're coming on the pod to share their stories, and it breaks my heart. And yeah, it does cause me a bit of fear. Fuck, if it's still happening to them.
No, you're still going to cop it.
You're right.
Like either way, right? Let's forget about male or female, right? If you win, you're going to cop it. That's as simple as that. That's the reality of it. All right? Yeah, if you win, you're going to cop it.
Well, even if you don't
doesn't
win,
matter.
you cop it. I just cop it.
Actually, as a female, unfortunately, yeah.
And it comes, the intent behind it is savage.
Yeah, right. And you know that guy that we were talking about earlier that then crashed it. So he's actually said something to me as well, that fellow, right?
Oh, so he's just not well.
See what I mean? He's just a bit you just get those people and you can't do anything with them. They're like a dog with a sore foot, or you know what I mean? You just can't stop them barking. That's how they are.
And Mossy's experienced this.
It's often enough the situation in which whatever issue that they're going through themselves is passed on to you. There's a projection, there's an image, because they've not dealt with a certain situation. So I'll just go and take it out on some females at the racetrack, or take it out on anyone. And in order to overcome that, I found throughout my time in sport, it takes the capability to step back and realise that they're not your world. They're in their own space.
Yeah.
It's not upon you to manage their issues. It's on you to know of your own strength to say no. And through doing that, continuously provides that resilience, which is frustrating as fuck to get over. But once you've got it, you formulate that Teflon, that barrier.
I like that how you say
out.
that, Teflon. I like that analogy of Teflon.
And a lot of the time too, it's about, through my experience, looking into each of the situations you go through and sort of compartmentalizing it in a way to say, that happened then. How did it affect me? Where does it sit? Can I move it? Can I push it to my extremities? Can I stupefy what they've said and put it into place? Like, how fucking ridiculous is that person? Whatever moves they've made on the track. Often enough, it's not aimed at us. It's just misdirected. And if you sort of accumulate those negativities and let it actually attack your soul, then as a byproduct, you're probably going to be in a negative space.
Yeah.
Often enough, it's not the situation, and it does take a lot of awareness and pure grit to, get yourself through those times and situations. But you being the strength of character that I know you to be, wouldn't have placed yourself in a position to be where you're at now had you not gone through those experiences previously.
What I would really like to focus in on with Mossy and with you here, Frankie, is the art of visualization. So this is one thing that I really would love a masterclass in by Mossy. A lot of race car drivers credit their wins to visualizing. So let me just place it in something that I need immediate help with from you both. I can go out into a sprint day where we have free range to just do run after run after run and just get into the zone and be flying and clocking the best lap times. Like Frank out there on the pit wall just going, bang that out in the rain, like best. Translating that skill to a race is very difficult when there's so many different variables, so much pressure, cars all around you, you're nervous. So the times that I have done well, it's just this quick kind of visualization of praying, hoping it goes well, but there's got to be more science behind it. So could you walk me through something that I could do? And Frank can talk to that issue that a lot of drivers face as well, is bringing the skills from that awesome test and tune day into a race environment.
Basic principles through experience when it comes to visualization is it can be through the practice itself, or it can be simulating the practice with no equipment at all, only the brain. And to do so, I use a pretty simple formula, and it involves identifying what it is you're focusing, attaching an emotion to that, how it's activated, finding the best possible ways to mentally orchestrate what you're going to be doing, and how you regulate it. Just so happens that those 4 letters add up to the word fear. Means nothing. But all the while, being able to specify what it is that you're going to be doing, placing yourself within that environment separate to everything else, is not unlike being in the practice labs. But you don't have to be in the vehicle itself. I don't have to be on a stage of a race myself. And after the repetition takes place and you simulate it in various different ways, there's an adaptation that takes place. So you can actually provide yourself with any set of circumstances at any point in time, any level of fatigue, and tell yourself that you're going through those exact details, those exact things. And eventually, by the time you actually put it into practice throughout the practice sessions themselves, then you'll fall into a position in which you start a race, and by second nature, you've been in those situations before. And as mundane as that sounds, it's like the old fake it till you make it principle for the brain. You can simulate anything that takes place if you do it with diligence, give the space the respect it deserves, and then, hey presto, it arrives.
Yeah,
Question
I
for
agree.
you.
That's right.
Quick question for you, Mossy. When you're riding at your level, assuming every athlete is also the best, because they are, and they're all doing the same prep, they're all doing the same visualization techniques, but yet there's one winner, how does that figure?
Well, I think with different levels, there's the capability for some to have placed themselves both from an internal dialogue perspective and a kinesthetic perspective, as in the touch on feel elements of what you're doing, to practice throughout your sessions and simulate what is going to take place during a race and then add some. So you're actually simulating what's going to take place, but then pushing yourself beyond. So when you come to the race itself, everything's just a touch easier.
That's pretty good. I like that. Very interesting. Yeah, push yourself beyond. So then when you doing the real thing, it's a bit easier.
Yeah.
I get that.
And what's your experience, Frank? Because I know you mentioned that you haven't done racing before, but you understand what I mean when I say sprint days, there's this freedom, relaxedness, and you're just in the groove.
Yeah.
And trying to transfer that over to a race setting. Do you think it's just seat time, or is there more to it?
It is seat time, but there is more to it. You have to actively think about it. So you're going out on a sprint day, okay, and you get into your happy place, your sort of calm place, okay, where your brain is very receptive, okay, without you really realising it, because you're calm, okay. So it's in the Speed Secret books. They talk about there's 4 different mind states, in normal life, like when we're sleeping and okay. So there's a certain state where when you're really calm, we become very receptive. So when you go out in a practice day, what are we learning? Like, what are we looking for practice day? So we go out in our race car and we're looking for our braking point, and we know that following our braking point is our turning point, and then it's the apex of the corner, and then it's the exit of the corner. So really we're physically looking at those points on the track. And we've heard about it on movies when people talk about it. There's that crack it's before, 70 metres at turn 1 at Sandown. We look for that crack. Okay, so that's what we're doing in practice. We're looking for that crack, we're looking for that bump and that mark on the fence, and all these little visual triggers we're remembering in practice, okay? So then, we repeat it, and then eventually we start to build up our muscle memory and all our visions stored in our mind are all really hard wiring ourselves, okay? So that's what is good about a sprint meeting, and because we're relaxed, right? We're really taking that in, all right? So it's like I try to tell people, it's like when you buy a new car, okay, and you've been looking for this new car and you never really see them out there, and you think you're buying yourself this unique car. You never really see it in traffic, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. You buy this car, then as soon as you buy that car, all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere in traffic, right?
Because it's front and center of the mind.
Right. So it's
important
the same,
to you.
Correct. It's the same thing what we're doing in practice at a race meeting. It's very important because then you went on about, okay, what happens in a race meeting, right? So race meeting is sort of the same thing, but it's very, very different, isn't it? Right? Because now you're in that heightened state, and you're all, you become nervous, you become anxious. You're at the start line. You're going to stall it. Is the person behind you? Your brain goes into overload, right? And that's where the problem happens. Okay,
the stress.
If you can be like at the practice meeting, everything's fine then, right? So that's the goal, really, is to have enough practice to be able to, push yourself a bit further, and then comes the race meeting and becomes easier. So you're sitting at the grid and you're relaxed, and that's wonderful. And the reason why I say that is because then our brains, right, we already know what to do with the car. The brain knows. It's like the computer running in the background, right? We know where the gear stick is. We know where the steering wheel and the pedals are. We know how to take off. We know all those basic things. So therefore, our brain can free up, and we can take in all what's going on around us, all the crazy people that are trying to pass us, and how are we going to pass them? And the brain can work on those things because in the background, we're driving the car flat out. We know how to drive the car on its edge without even thinking about it. It's not something that you have to think about.
Yeah, it's interesting talking about that that sort of rigid state you find yourself in when you come to a race, and the comparative difference between whether you've been able to place yourself just neurologically in that situation previously and adapt to those trigger points and things during the race or during the sprint series where you'll second nature know where to brake, where the exit points are, when to apply, things like that. And because that is second nature, you're then able to deal with the limits of the machinery. And then whether that's self-limits in the cycling world or dealing with the pace, all those characteristics start to formulate. And a lot of the time, if you've gone through the adaptation of the simulation, subjecting to the differences in environment, things that may or may not take place, you're then at liberty to explore the space with the freedom, because the brain's got the time and energy to deal with
that time, that extra time. Yeah, it's developing that. It's very
And I think too that the main thing that I've noticed throughout, motorsports and cycling, throughout all sports,
all sports. I like this.
It's that combination of, skill when it meets the challenge perfectly. Often enough, people can find themselves in the zone.
Yeah,
because
in the zone, it's important.
But if you accumulated the skills through repetition and practice in your own brain, then applied that to the space that you're working with, then the environment and the skills match the challenge, that element that's come before you. And when you're doing that and it's coming so easy, then the brain's able to formulate a sphere for itself, a working environment.
I love that so much. I've noticed about myself going back to something about the lists and being so task-oriented and being a control freak. I am a control freak. I'm learning to be less of one. It comes down to caring so much and wanting to do my very best to know that I left no stone unturned, right? It's my deep preparation, right? But I have noticed that those race starts where I'm a lot more relaxed, maybe even having some fun, grateful to be there, have the mindset of, well, gee, this is going to be a hoot, and then boom, we're off. Yeah. They're the best race meets for me.
Yeah,
Now, when I go into the race meet going, look, there's always going to be trouble in paradise, but when I go in there going tense on the start line, scared in my energy, nervous, I'm stiff, that rigidity. I'm stiff as a driver. And then it's almost like bad manifestation. Bad things happen. But when I'm having fun, which is so hard to get to sometimes when you care so much and things haven't gone your way. If you can just remember to just have some fun with it. Did you ever have those moments at the start? I've watched all your race footage actually. You're having fun, you're dancing. Were they the better race meets for you? Do you get the better performance?
Well, just by chance. I think the footage that you speak of with me dancing around often enough takes place where my performance was remarkably good. Because I remember getting to stages even during the Giro when I was winning and not even noticing what was taking place, being in, the beauty and the environment and the atmosphere of the moment itself, there could have been one person, let alone thousands of people and all the TV cameras and whatnot. I wouldn't have noticed because I was happy and I put the steps in place so long beforehand that it was as if I was doing what I was doing and everything was taken care of.
That's so true.
That lack of pressure and, breaking it down categorically in order to perform at the next level, that wasn't part of the deal because whatever happened, happened. And I could deal with it on the
whatever
spot.
happened. Yes.
You have to surrender. I noticed it
because you've done the hard work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I just have so much fun out in the test and tune, the sprint days, because there's no pressure.
Yeah, I just want to make one point.
For it.
It was very interesting how you said you sort of didn't notice what was going on because, everything was so good. You didn't notice it. I've actually got to that point and it's very hard to sort of get that, right? And it takes all that practice and hard work, right, and pushing yourself, and then it happens, right? But you got to sort of be mindful of it. And it took me many years to be mindful that this is kind of happening. It had happened in the past, but I didn't realise it, right? And then it happened right at the end. So I went and did the race meeting, and it was something that I wanted to do for ages, okay? And I got to do it, and I did like the perfect lap, if you like, right? Which is kind of like I sort of thought I could never do it, and I'm always trying. I'm trying. But then I went out and I had this session, Dom, where I didn't know what I did, right? But when I got out of the car, I was like, I felt like I was on top of the world. Like I thought, wow, I did it. Yeah. I didn't even know what I did, right?
So if I could you couldn't even translate it to someone.
And this is my point. That immediately, we get out of the car and my other mates come over and they're like, oh, well, what did you do here? And what did you do there? What gear were you in? And see, I was like, I don't know, right? And my point is that when I was in the car, it wasn't like I was driving the car. When I thought about it later, it was like I was a passenger watching myself drive the car. It's very odd to explain to you, but it's that whole I'm in the zone, like you said, you're in the zone. I'm in my happy place. I'm not thinking about driving the car or what I'm doing. I'm not thinking about it. It's just sort of happening.
Yep, I would agree with you too. And with the few minutes that we've got left, I wanted to ask Mossy, your favourite thing, data. With all these books that I've got and the way that I cook my brain with peak performance and my own experiences and trying to search for the magic answer for how to be better and get the best and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Is there a thought in you when you look at all the science, you look at all the data, you look at all the technology, you look at the nth degree of people and what they're doing to make themselves the best? Do you think we're overcooking it?
Yeah, because
I love
call
this.
me biased, but there's an interplay between human touch and the machinery. So you can look into all the data and objectively get information about progress, about differentiation, what needs to be adjusted. But enabling that to take place in the recognition takes place within the human consciousness, because we are the ones who feel the speed that we create. And that's probably one of the hardest things to simulate, is the essence of what we provide to the data, not what the data gives back to us.
That's interesting.
It is such an interesting topic, and there's so many stones to turn over and look under and dig and fossick through and mine through the experiences of other people. And, you know, I think it all comes down to really you as a human and just being happy and satisfied with the performance that you're giving anything that you're laying your hand to. And some people might go, gee, Dom takes this all too seriously, and gee, you know, with her workouts and her nutrition and this peak performance shit, she's just driving an old fucking car, just go out and have fun. That's all very well, but it means a lot to me. And I want to go to the grave knowing I gave it my damn best. And no, I'm not sponsored. There actually was offers back in my 20s and my early 30s, but I said no to a lot of those opportunities because I didn't want to drive those modern cars. I'm like, nah, bro, carby Barbie, I like burning fossil fuels for fun. I'm just going to stick with this because that's authenticity, right? So I suppose what I'm trying to get to in my roundabout fucking rambling way is just put in, if it's 200% like I like to do in everything, well, so be it, right? And I know Frank likes to go 200% in the prep of things, so be it. And I have to get used to, well, maybe Joe Blow next door, if he's, you know, wants to drink 10 litres of red wine before he goes on the racetrack the next day and then feels miserable about his result but won't listen to me saying, mate, maybe pull it back a bit on the cleansing ales, I've got to let it go because he has to be happy with what he's putting in.
Right. Yeah.
Like, do you see what I'm trying to get at? It's at this grassroots level.
Yeah, but look, I think you should try as hard as you want to try. What's wrong with that? Makes me happy.
And I know
I'm
you
terrible.
bring it to the car too. Frank's always like, well, I think we could do this. I think we should do that. Others. And it's awesome.
Yeah, you know, but I'm that type of person which, look, if my lap time wasn't better than the last ones, I feel like I've failed. I feel like I've done something wrong, right? I just get that like that. And I have to work out something else because I have to go faster. I love going fast, and so therefore I must go faster. And it's as simple as that. So I will constantly push myself, and that's that. I mean, when I was doing it, it was just full on, you know, flat out. And so, you know, I sort of, on one hand, I almost don't miss it because I know how I'm gonna, when I start again, I'm just gonna push myself, you know, into the ground a bit.
Thanks
you know?
for saying that.
So I've got to kind of back myself off a bit. I know that. But I love that. I love doing it.
That's what it's about. That's that drive.
You know? That's right. It's
only the friction that I think us three are after, the experience of being on that limit and seeing the potential of what you can deliver. Because in essence, that's what racing's about. That's the reason why you're pouring your emotion into it and wanting to demand the best of yourself. That's why, you know, you, Frank, you're knowing of what you're going to come into contact with because of that willingness to push the limits. That demand for the friction and the interplay between humans and machines delivers us to that point, and that's what we're after. So I think it's
and also
and the negativity. It's almost like if people aren't picking on me, I'm not fast enough. You get that?
I
Do you
love
get that
too.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm doing something wrong because Joe Blow didn't say anything this month. It's like, I haven't.
That's gold.
I'm going to go out there, you know.
And
all right.
also, I know
wrong.
as a historic race car driver, it costs money for spectators to come in and watch. And there's an element of me that's like, I really want those kids to watch that little red Alpha go around and be awesome. I really don't want to let the spectators down because you see them, thousands, right, at these big meets. And you feel that pressure of you're there to entertain. It is an entertainment category. Right. And fuck, I bring the entertainment with my personality at times. But you know, that's that pressure I have too, is I really want to perform and entertain for the crowd. And to do that means me being my best and bringing my best, and Frank and I being in rhythm and in flow, and also having fun out there, but also at 200 kilometers an hour in a tin can that was built in 1965. It's fucking scary. So is all these things, and you're the same with your career. And now as a performance coach and a mentor, you've got to emit all that learned experience and energy and impart it to the next person while still saying, yeah, so don't worry about it, bro, just have some fun. You know, that's a challenge in itself.
Well, it's one of those things where, you know, we look at what we do and we wouldn't do what we do unless, you know, we're wanting to do it.
We love it.
And
we love it.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
We're addicts.
Yeah, we're addicts. Addicted. All right. Woohoo.
Frank, what's our motto for the year for racing?
Well, go faster
Okay, go faster.
and have fun.
Go faster, have fun. Mossy, what's my motto for getting back into racing?
Distribute the sparkle.
Ooh, distribute the sparkle coming from Centre Punch. It's what we call our little magic turbo button when we're in the flow. It's his Centre Punch and it's my sparkle. And Frankie's is just go faster.
I'll just go faster. Yeah,
On
that's
that
right.
note,
Go.
what an absolute pleasure to be joined by you today on Dom Pod. Moss, Matty, Lloyd, Frank Musco.
Thanks.
It really was a lot of fun. And I thank you so much for imparting your knowledge, wisdom, enthusiasm and insights and spending this moment with me, and look forward to more chats.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Matt.